But with the narcissist that we internalize, we're taught to take it to therapy, to send it love, to, oh, it's a poor wounded child. It is not a wounded child, let me tell you that.
I get mad at myself for getting mad at myself. And then it's
Yeah.
like, how do I stop that loop?
Can't even know who you really are if you're carrying shame. You're a
Yeah.
false mask. You're wearing a mask 100% of the time. Everybody has it. It's just to what degree are you aware of it, and to what degree it's affecting you.
Hello, and welcome back to Retrieving Sanity with your podcast host, Keegan, and this is your podcast for all mental health, addiction, recovery issues, and topics. I've got a question for you. Do you ever feel like you've got an inner narcissist or something like that? Someone that's always just kind of keeping you down? Well, today my guest is Emma Lyons. She's a master of blending somatic work, trauma decoding, and intuitive energy healing to guide women out of shame loops and back into their embodied power. With her signature framework, the Trauma Matrix, and her program Evict the Narc Within, she's calling out the cultural conditioning that teaches women to abandon themselves. So, Emma, how are you doing today, and how did you find out this inner narcissist, and how do you evict it?
Well, that's so many questions there. I kind of discovered this because all my life I thought I was the problem. I thought my family was normal. I was doing the 12 steps because I realized that I was love avoidant. And I joined SLA, and I thought everyone else had these horrific stories about their family, and I was like, oh, I think I was just the only one. I was just weird in my family. But what I discovered later is that my family is really quite dysfunctional. My mother ticks pretty much all the boxes of covert narcissist. And within that system, and this is within all dysfunctional systems, you have someone who is the scapegoat. Someone is selected as the scapegoat, and I was selected for that role. And what the scapegoat gets is you basically become the toilet, the landfill for all the unprocessed shame and trauma that nobody else wants to look at, because that's what's happened in dysfunctional families. They have all this trauma and shame. Nobody wants to do it, so it gets dumped on one individual. And that person was me. And once I realized this, things just started to make sense, because all this time I thought, like, why am I like this? It's just my personal problem. I'm the only one in my family. My family was really loving. So I was kind of gaslit all my life and thinking that I was just, because all my life I've, suicidal ideation, mild to moderate, and very depressed. And I thought it was just me, but actually it's a systemic thing. And I was very hard on myself from very young, and hence the kind of suicidal ideation from childhood. I thought this was normal. I thought everyone was like that. But when the pieces kind of fell into, and I started seeing about my mother, I started realizing that this shame voice that's called the inner critic, it's not a critic at all. It's not a critic. It's a narcissist. I'm telling you, it ticks all the boxes, every single box of the narcissist. Grandiose. It's self-important. It's got all these preoccupied fantasies. I'm so brilliant. It stands above you. It tells you what to do. It feels like it's special. It needs, you have to admire it and worship it and do what it says. It's it's so entitled. Couldn't be more entitled. And it exploits. But the only thing box that it doesn't tick, I'm going through the DSM. It lacks empathy, obviously. The only box it doesn't tick is the interpersonal exploitative thing. That's the only one that it doesn't, but it exploits you. That's the thing. It exploits you. It manipulates you. It shames you. It tells you, you can't do that podcast. Don't get up on that stage. You'll never be successful. And we're taught that this thing is trying to keep you safe. We're taught that's the common wisdom. This thing is trying to keep you safe. And that's just like with the narcissist. The narcissist punch you in the face, kick you in the balls, and then tell you, I'm doing it to keep you safe. It's a lie. It's a liar. It does not care about you. It cares about itself, just like the narcissist. And it's using us for narcissist exploit. It's nothing without you, just like the narcissist outside. And what I really noticed is that we're taught to deal with the narcissist outside and this narcissist that we've internalized in two opposite ways, right? With the narcissist outside, we're told, don't engage, run away as far away as you can. Keep
Yeah.
away from this thing because they're never going to change. But with the narcissist that we internalize, we're taught to take it to therapy, to send it love, to, oh, it's a poor wounded child. It is not a wounded child, let me tell you that. That is not, it's extracting from you. It is
Man.
extracting your power, your energy, and it's not trying to protect you. This is what we're gaslit to believe by conventional wisdom. It does not care about you. It cares about it. It's trying to destroy you and keep you small. And this is one of the places where I'm really dead against what conventional wisdom is saying, because you cannot bring a narcissist to therapy. You bring a narcissist to therapy, it manipulates it. It gets nowhere. But we're trying to send love to this thing that's like a freaking parasite. Imagine if you have a parasite in your gut. Let me just send some love to the thing. Oh, the poor little baby. I mean, it's just ridiculous. You don't do that. And that thing, this so-called inner critic, is just like that. It's a parasite. It extracts your power, your energy. It's like a shell, just like the narcissist outside. It's created from shame, just like the narcissist. Narcissists are operating outside of shame. This thing also, but it's not something that you can fix with love. You need to cut off its power and say no, and that's what I teach people to do.
Ooh, wow. Holy cow. That is quite the just everything, because now I'm really kind of having to second guess everything I've thought about my inner critic, and wow, you're right.
I am all right. Yeah, I know. I've thought about it a lot. It ticks every single box, and we're taught to coddle this thing. It's a freaking narcissist, and even if you're not brought up in a narcissistic or dysfunctional family, narcissism is in the air that we breathe. We live in a highly, highly narcissistic world. We worship narcissists. The presidents are narcissists. Our movie stars are narcissists. We worship God is narcissistic, So we worship narcissists. So of course, everything is narcissistic. And we breathe that in without even knowing it. That's how we're taught to be. And the coding system for this narcissistic world is shame. That's how it functions. That's how it gets people to do what they need. Shame is the key to that. A narcissist can only manipulate you if you're shameable. And when you remove that hook, they can't touch you. Same with a psychopath. A psychopath doesn't have shame. And look, what's even enforced in our language, the English language is particularly bad for that. You have no shame, Keegan.
No.
You have no shame. You're shameless. You're shameless. Oh, you're shameful. So basically our language is saying that you need to have shame, but the right amount of shame in order to be a good boy or a good girl. And people will fight with you and tell you that shame is good, that it's useful, that it's good for you. But let me tell you, shame is toxic 100% of the time. And yet we're told by conventional wisdom again that shame is good for you. Even experts like Brene Brown, if you're familiar with her, she says in her TED talk about shame, she says pretty much everything that she says is really right on. But then she says that if you don't experience shame, that would make you a psychopath.
What?
She says that if you don't experience shame, that would make you a psychopath. And you know what? That's true. Psychopaths don't experience shame, but that's not their real problem. The problem is they don't experience empathy. No, not having empathy is the real problem. And when you experience shame, I don't know if you've ever had a shame attack. When shame, like it hijacks your body like no other emotion. It's not like fear. It's much more intense than fear or anything else, right?
Well, what would a shame attack look like? Because I don't know.
You've never had a shame attack?
I don't know. Maybe?
Shame, you probably know if you've had one. It's like shame, basically this voice that tells you it's simplified. People say shame is basically there's something wrong with me, I'm bad, right? And guilt says I've done something bad, right? So that's the difference. But shame, it's not even that. Shame is a toxic cocktail of a bunch of different emotions. Self-disgust, self-loathing, anger turned inwards, fear turned against everything. It's basically self-attack, right?
Okay.
It's basically attacking yourself and telling you I should not be here. And this is why I believe that shame is an essential component for people to actually unalive themselves. I've wanted to do it. I've thought about it a lot. And it was
Same.
because I had so much shame.
Mhm.
I don't believe
Yeah.
that people would ever, no matter how bad things get in your life, I don't
Mhm.
believe that people would take that step if shame was not in the mix, right?
Yep.
And for me, when I felt that way, that was my narcissist gone malignant, telling me that I'm a waste of space, that I might as well. That's a shame attack, and it takes over your whole
Oh,
body.
okay.
It makes you shrink. It
Mhm.
makes your body go. Ooh, your body just
Yeah.
shrinks. You protect
Okay.
yourself. It
Mhm.
basically it puts you into survival mode, and that's what
Yeah.
shame does. And then all
Mhm.
these feelings that are these beliefs that I'm bad, there's something wrong with me, I'm defective, I'm stupid, I'm ugly. All that
Mhm.
stuff is downstream from
Mhm.
the actual emotion. So even saying shame is I'm bad, it's an oversimplification. Shame is that emotional cocktail that is 100% toxic. But yet, conventional wisdom and psychotherapy, they'll tell you that a little bit of shame is good for you, that you need a bit of shame in order to be a good boy. And I even had one guy who is in therapy himself, and his therapist had told him that it's good that you experience shame because you've done many bad things in your life and you should be ashamed. You should be ashamed of yourself. You should be ashamed. It's an expression. It's something that we say in English because we believe that shame is a moral compass, and
No.
it's not. Shame is never a moral compass. When people experience shame, they're actually less inclined to change their behavior in the medium to long term. But it is effective. If there's a little boy here that's not pissing me off, if I shame him, he'll shut up pretty fast. So it looks very effective in the moment, and that's why we do it. But in the medium to long term, it's actually counterproductive. And there have been studies in this, and the more shame people feel, the more depressed, the more the more suicidal they tend to get. So, and it tends to reinforce negative behavior because when people, you see this with cults, when you critique someone in a cult, they feel personally attacked. They experience shame, and then they want to kick your ass or beat you up. They go on the offensive. So shame puts you into survival mode. It's not useful for behavior change. Yes, that's what we're told. That's what we're gaslit to believe. Even through our very language, Keegan, we're told that shame is a moral compass, that it's a good way to change behavior, that it's a way to regulate your behavior. And I've spoken to people who've argued with me about it, and they've said that shame is really good. We have to shame people who are pedophiles. And I'm like, well, we've been doing that for hundreds of years. I don't think Epstein got the memo. It hasn't worked. It does not work, is the bottom line. To change behavior, we don't need to attack ourselves. That's counterproductive. We need guilt. We need to recognize we've done something wrong, but we don't need to go into survival mode and feel like we're being personally attacked. That is not helpful. And but the reason why it's used is because shame, it's like the substrate of our society, particularly in Western society. We have this individualized type of shame that's unique to the West, that kind of comes from Christianity and this idea of original sin. This is the foundation of our culture. Even if you're not Christian, if you live in a Western country, that's the foundation of the culture that you live in. And this idea of original sin says you're a sinner because you exist, right? And you have to forgive, right? So just think of that for a second. That's a double bind that you can never, ever get out of. And before Christianity came along, for example, in Ireland and even in Japan or China at the moment, they have a slightly different type of shame. It's slightly different flavor. Also very toxic. It also, many people commit suicide because of shame there, but it's more honor-based kind of shame.
Yeah, dishonor.
It's like, yes, if you step outside of what's normal for the family, you bring dishonor on the family, then you're shamed for that. But the difference is, it's still something that you've done, not for something that you inherently are. Like in theory, with this collectivist kind of shame is what I call it. You could change your behavior or do something different and collectively and potentially come back in the fold. But with the individualized shame that we have in the West, that's never possible. You're bad because you're you're rotten to the core. And like I said, shame is promoted. It's so normalized in our culture. People fight to defend it because they think it's useful, even though the evidence says that it doesn't.
Oh, man, you hit a lot of really, really powerful points right there. And I mean, there's a lot of rabbit holes. I don't know which one I want to dive down first. But shame is definitely one of those things that I'm sitting here kind of like, I didn't realize how much shame actually did run my life.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that while I've been on this healing journey, shame has been one of those prevalent feelings that'll come and like smack me in the ass every now and then, saying like, get up and go because you're not doing good enough, kind of thing.
Yeah.
You got a lot to catch up on, but at the same time, there's also the shame of, oh, I was an addict, I was an alcoholic, I really messed up. And then there's that whole like, so earlier today is really interesting. Synchronicity is always one of those fantastic things. Today on Facebook, I was scrolling along and I saw a Grim Reaper holding an hourglass with someone in it. He was just shaking it, and it said, if being hard on yourself worked, it would have worked by now. And I was like,
exactly. Perfect. Yes. Shame doesn't work to change your behavior, and people don't become addicts for no reason. They become addicts because of shame.
Yep.
Shame drives you to addiction.
Yep.
Always, every single time. There's shame there.
Yep.
And this is why people drink. This is why people take drugs, because there's shame there. And when you drink, when you smoke, when you take drugs, whatever it is, it gives you, puts mute button on that shame, so you don't have to feel it. And for that time, and then obviously the shame spirals. So, you know, you go back and you shame yourself for taking the drink or for going on a bender again. You know, so it's a loop. And shame is the driving force of that. And you mentioned about hustle culture, you know, that's a huge thing. That's one of the enforcers of shame. Like shame is kind of in the center. It's the center. I have graphics that I've created. So shame in the center, and then there are enforcers of shame, one of which is scarcity. Shame says you're not enough. And then scarcity enforces that by saying there's never enough, you know? So you don't have enough. You don't have enough because you're not enough. And it's a loop. But then there's also hustle culture. You know, hustle culture says you gotta work, you gotta do it, you gotta fight, and that's shaming. That's very shaming. Capitalism is very shaming. You gotta prove that you're good enough. You gotta it's very, very shaming. You gotta buy in order to prove that you're good enough. Now all the marketing, all the advertisements, it all works through shame. Why? Because shame is effective in the moment. It gets people to act on the spur of the moment. But good news is that we can unhook from it and become unshameable, and that's what I teach people how to do.
Yeah. Okay. Real quick, where can people find you if they're looking to get your help on this kind of thing?
Yeah. You can find me over on Substack. I am the Trauma Matrix, or on my socials, trauma.matrix. So definitely send me a message if you're listening to this. You know, reach out to me. Let me know how you found this interview. If you found it. I've been on lots of podcasts. I've been on 60 podcasts in the past couple of months. And a lot of people have told me that talking about this has really blown their mind, you know, and really made them think about this in a different way. You know, listening to this conversation is really great, but then you've got to act on it. Otherwise, shame will continue to perpetuate and rule your life. And that's not good for anyone. It's not good for you or for the world, because shame is the root of our narcissistic culture and pretty much all the bad things that happen in the world, up to genocide, you know? Shame is an essential substrate for genocide. Without shame, that would not happen.
One of the things I really have to ask, though, is because our societies, or especially the Western society, is so ingrained with this shame, in a sense, all of our programming is somewhat centered around shame, because I know whenever I'm trying to get out of that shame, I get mad at myself for getting mad at myself. And then it's like, how do I stop that fucking loop? Because it's like, you shouldn't get mad at yourself, but I got mad at myself because that's the way that I know how to fix it in the moment.
No.
So how do we actually unprogram ourselves to not work in shame?
First of all, you got to recognize that shame is useless.
Okay.
Shame does not help you. It never helps you, not even 1% of the time. And once you recognize that, once you really internalize that, you can actually say no to shame. You can stop it. Because shame, like I've argued with people here on podcasts, you know, they're saying, oh, shame helped me stop doing this and stop doing that. I bet you stopped in spite of the shame, not because of the shame. It's in spite of the shame, not because of the shame. You needed that awareness. You do not need shame to change your behavior. Shame is counterproductive to changing your behavior. Shame is self-attack and self-abuse. So once you recognize that, you can you can break it trance, and that's the key piece. So if people go away with that, that little piece, that's huge. Just recognize shame is useless. Stop shaming yourself, first of all, because when you shame yourself, or when that narcissist inside is shaming you, you're going to go and shame other people. That's the way it works. You don't treat people worse than you treat yourself, you know. So this is why we've got to break up with this inner narcissist priority number one, and then we can start changing things outside, because it fractals outwards. It's absolutely everywhere. But the way you can break up with this, I have an acronym: BREAK, BREAK.
Okay.
So the first one is B, break the trance. So that's really recognize this is not your voice. It's a spell. It's a collective spell that we've all been put under. It's a pattern. We're all walking around like zombies in the shame trance. So you've got to recognize that, wake up from it, catch it, interrupt it, don't overthink it. This is a trance. And that automatically interrupts the loop and disrupts it. Then you go on to R, refuse to engage. So this is the thing, like normally with the shame voice, we try to argue with it, or we perform, we do what it says, right? So we've got to follow Dr. Ramani, who's the expert in narcissism. She says deep. Don't defend, don't engage, don't explain, and don't personalize. So we've got to do exactly the same. Don't defend or engage or explain. Just say, not today, bitch. Not today, Satan. Not today. It's not happening. You don't need to be polite to this thing. And this is the other problem that I have with the conventional wisdom. We're told to be nice to this thing, be nice to the narcissist, send it love, send it healing. We don't do that. You don't do that to a narcissist. It doesn't work. It's a waste of your energy. You're just giving it more supply. So you've got to stop doing that. You've got to take back your power and just say, not today. It ain't happening. Then E, expose the lie. So call out the shame-based programming. What's it saying? I'm stupid. I'm ugly. I'm a fool. Right. That's not empirically true. This is all about control. It is up there trying to control and manipulate you. It's not true. Never, not even 1% of the time. This is not your story. And really speaking that disarms its power and takes it back, because it's like a light bulb. It's extracting all, it's a parasite, you know, it's taking all its energy off you. It's like a shell, you know? It's got nothing. It's empty without you. That's why it needs to keep you performing and dancing and keep you doing what it says, right? And shame is the main tool that it uses. And shame is a narcissistic device. So when you're shaming people, you are behaving like a narcissist. So stop that. Stop it. Then you go on to A, anchor it in truth. So that means come back to your body. I talked a little bit before how shame hijacks your body, takes you over. You've got to come back to your body, feel your breath, plant your feet, say your name, the year, and really remind your nervous system, because it hijacks your body. It's like, you know, remind your nervous system, I'm safe, I'm sovereign, we're here, everything's okay. You know, and then K, kick it out, kick that bastard out, shake it out, literally, shake it out of your body, you know, shake it off, say it out loud. This is not yours. This stuff is inherited, but it's been with humans since the dawn of time. And this internalized shame, this European type of shame, this individualized shame, this has been with us since Christianity. Jesus did not teach shame. Jesus did not shame people. This started with the church. And again, it's about controlling people, because people who are shamed, they stay in their spot. They don't stand up for themselves. They do what they're told. And that's very useful for the system. That's useful for the empire. Keeps everything going. So the way you break up with it is you stop doing it to yourself. You break up with that narcissist that you've internalized and take back your power. And when shame strikes, and it might, you go through the break process and just don't let it.
Okay, I love that. So, quick recap. Break is B, break the spell. R, refuse to engage. E, I didn't start writing this until A.
Is expose the lie. You've got to expose the lie. So call out the programming, what it's saying. You're stupid, you're ugly, you've got a big head, you've got a big ass, whatever. You shouldn't eat that ice cream, you'll get fat. Whatever it is, this is control. Shame is always about controlling your behavior. And it's always a manipulation, because that's what manipulation is. You tell someone, do this and it'll be good for you, but really it's about me. It's about my comfort. And shame is that. That's exactly what shame is. That's the definition of shame, Keegan. I gaslight you.
Yep.
to make you believe you're doing it for your own good, but it's really for me. It's always for the shamer. So that's expose the lie, anchored in truth, and then kick the fucker out.
Oh. Real quick, you just made me realize something. You know how whenever people are feeling bad or
Yeah.
whatever, like they're expressing emotions in public, and people will
Yeah.
go up to them and be like, "It's okay, you don't have to feel that way." One of the things my therapist told me was it's because other people are uncomfortable feeling that kind of thing.
Yes.
And so that makes sense. It's shame.
Yes.
They're trying to make. Oh my goodness
Yes.
gracious.
We do
Holy
it in
cow.
so many sneaky ways. We do it in so many
Huh.
sneaky ways. And when you think about a shame attack, like it's
Mhm.
physical, you feel you
Yeah.
feel your face gets hot.
Uh-huh.
You're actually, it physiologically changes you. I
Mhm.
was looking at
Yeah.
pictures of me when I was like in deep shame, and like my
Mhm.
upper lip was gone. You know, your body contracts, your shoulders go in, you go straight into survival mode. That's what shame does to you. It puts you in survival mode, 100%, and it has no positive function except to control you. And that's it. Fear, it has a function. There's a car coming. I need to get out of the way. It's good that I'm afraid, right?
Yeah.
Anger, somebody's pissing me off, somebody's crossing my boundary. I have to say no. I get angry and say no. That's useful.
Yeah.
Shame, nothing.
So I'm not arguing this. I'm questioning where shame was born, because the only thing that I can think of is long time ago it was useful to be in a village. It was useful to be with your people, and so that's the only thing that I can think of is that ridicule.
Shame is a hierarchy, is a structure of hierarchy, so hierarchical societies, and it's about keeping people in line.
So,
always, every single time, all kinds of shame, it's about keeping people in line 100% of the time.
So I've also had this theory that without secrets, like if I don't have secrets, then no one really holds power over me. But that's not necessarily the case, because sometimes a secret can still be revealed and it holds power over me because I am ashamed of it.
Exactly. And this is the thing. Once you deprogram yourself out of shame, you become unshameable. That's why my program is called Reclaim Your Shameless. That word, like shameless, it's a slur. She's so shameless. Oh my God, look at the skirt she's wearing. Women do this to other women all the time. It's because we have been collectively shamed and scapegoated. And, speaking of genocide, this is how it starts. The scapegoated culture, they're carrying all that shame. You can't digest it. And this happens on the individual level as well. Shame is an emotion that you cannot digest, that you cannot process. So what do? You internalize it, and it becomes self-attack, or you find another scapegoat and pass it on. And that happens all the time. And that's where genocide comes in. And you can see it so often in there in the mix. The scapegoat becomes the perpetrator, and that's what happens with sexual abuse so often. People have been shamed, they're carrying all this shame, and they need to project it on someone else so that they're not carrying it all. And this is what women do to other women. Oh, look, she's got a big ass, or because when I shame her, I feel a little bit better, I feel powerful. It gives you a sense of power, and it gives you relief from your shame for that second of time. But it doesn't really do anything. Your shame is still there. It doesn't diffuse it. It's not effective. You've got to release shame in another way. That's not the way to release shame. Projecting it comes straight back to you.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that is really just it's so strange, because it's so robust. It just wants to stay alive. So how do we educate others around us that we're now shameless and there's nothing to be shamed about in being shameless?
Don't try to educate other people, educate yourself and embody that shamelessness. And when people are called shameless, look, she's so shameless, it's because I feel triggered because she's being authentic. And shame is the opposite of authenticity. If you think about it for a second, when you're carrying shame, you cannot be authentic, because shame says hide who you are. You're not good enough. So you can never be authentic if you're carrying shame. So shame is the exact opposite. It's the antithesis of authenticity. So it's impossible to be authentic if you're carrying a lot of shame.
Wow. Okay. I was actually wondering one of the things that would be essential for ego per se, and I'd say that shame would definitely be up there for that.
Shame is the favorite tool of the ego. And that narcissist is basically the shame voice, but you don't have to live with it. You can eject it. You can take back your power. And this is
Mm,
the opposite of what we've been taught. And even
yeah,
therapists tell people to sit down
mm,
with your shame.
yeah,
Like that therapist told the guy that I was speaking to recently, it's
mm,
good that you feel shame because that
mm,
means you're a good boy, that you have a moral compass.
uh,
We've got
ew,
the world is upside down.
mm,
People people who talk about shame are speaking about it from inside the cage. That's
mm,
even Brene Brown. She got
uh-huh,
so many things right. Even John Bradshaw. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He wrote an
mm,
amazing book called The Shame That Binds You, and he linked
hmm,
shame to addictions and everything. But
okay,
where he fell down, it was so good until he started talking about healthy shame. So this is
uh,
what they talk about. They talk about
uh-huh,
toxic shame and then healthy shame. So again, this comes back to the idea that we have in Western
uh-huh,
that therapy circles are just pervasive. That
yeah,
you need some shame to be a good person, and that shame is some kind of moral compass, and that's completely false. It doesn't stand up to the facts. But because shame is so normalized everywhere,
mm,
people think that it's part of what it is to be human. And
mm,
people, there have been researchers who look at babies, hiding
mm,
and stuff and call that shame. Shame is taught to children. Children are
mm,
not born with shame. This is
yeah,
something that's always taught. Animals don't experience shame
yeah,
unless they've been taught by humans again.
yeah, uh-huh,
It's some shame is taught, it's not innate. And this is
mm,
something that I think the researchers are missing. And then
uh-huh,
when they see children, hiding their faces or something, that's a
mm,
projection, I believe.
mm,
They call that shame when maybe the child has been taught shame, but they're
mm,
not. Children are not born. When children are born, they're shameless. They're
mm,
shameless. They don't care what
yeah,
you think.
mm,
They're truly authentic.
yeah,
They're not trying to pander to what they think you want. And
mm,
that's what shame does to you. It makes me
yeah.
pander to what. And I'm not. You cannot be authentic if you're carrying shame. It's impossible.
Yeah, it forces you into being a people pleaser. And
Exactly. This is why, I mean, people pleasing, imposter syndrome, self
mhm,
sabotage, self doubt. I could go
mhm,
on. These are
yeah.
symptoms. What's the root cause? Shame.
Mm,
And so many people are like, "Oh, I have to deal with and they're dealing with the symptom rather than
huh,
dealing with the root of the problem. It's like you're playing whack-a-mole
huh,
without dealing with the underlying root. It's obviously going to come
mhm.
back.
Yeah. It's a lot like people in, well, I'll just use psychiatry and mental health because a lot of the time we're treating the symptoms, we're not necessarily treating the actual cause. So a lot of people like to just sit there and throw pills at it and say, oh, that makes you feel better in the moment. But does that actually solve what's causing the issue? If you can solve it? No.
And maybe that's useful for some people for a
Yeah.
while, but
Uh huh.
maybe they need that. It's like a crutch.
Uh-huh.
And then,
Yeah.
like, I broke my leg recently. I was on crutches until I learned
Hmm.
to walk again and felt safe
Yeah.
walking.
Yeah.
That's
And
fine. But
mhm,
most mental illnesses have shame in there.
yeah.
Depression.
Exactly. Uh
Shame is
huh.
an essential. I mean, the reason why I was depressed and suicidal was because of
Hmm.
shame.
Yeah.
Shame was running my life. So I know shame. I know
Hmm.
shame. I know what it does to you. I know
Yeah.
shame destroys your life. That's what
Hmm.
it does. It wants to
Yeah.
kill you.
Uh
And
huh.
we're taught to coddle it and to send love to it. It's just ridiculous.
So it's weird that you say that it wants to kill us, but at the same time, it kind of wants us to live, doesn't it? Because we're kind of taught that it's our inner critic, so it's a part of us, so it's trying to
Yeah.
keep us alive. But
No.
you just said that it wants
It's
to
trying
kill
to
us
just
at the same time.
it's trying to destroy you.
Hmm. Oh, because it's not us.
Yeah, it's not you.
Huh.
So when we
Ooh.
talk about this
Huh.
thing as you, we want to be
Uh
polite
huh.
to it and send it love. And that again
Yeah.
is the wounded child paradigm.
Hmm.
It's not a wounded child.
Uh huh.
The narcissist may
Ooh.
be a wounded child, but sending
Uh
love
huh.
to it is not going to change it. You take back your
Yeah.
power. You get the hell away from that thing,
Uh, yeah.
and
And
you cut this thing off. And you take
yeah.
back your power. You become shameless. You become
Huh.
unshameable.
Interesting. So essentially, one of the things that I'm curious about, do you think that shame is, I think that it's a primitive form of boundaries? Would that sound right? Like within a group setting, at least, right?
I don't think it's boundaries. I think it's control.
Well, yeah, but maybe control was the primitive version of it. Like it was the only way to get it to happen at first. I don't know. But that's the thing is that
Well, I think it's a very unevolved way of doing things
Mhm.
because, like
Yeah,
I said, shame kills that empathy.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I made a video of this. Like
Mhm.
shame is the opposite end. Like the more shame comes, the less you experience empathy. So it's absolute BS. It's
Mhm.
absolute BS. Shame is always about control. And
Mhm.
yeah, it's useful for the people who are at the top, but it's not
Yeah.
useful for the people who are being shamed.
Mhm.
It's very dehumanizing. You lose yourself. You are a marionette to someone else's needs. That's
Mhm.
what shame does. And it's always about what they need, their needs above yours.
Yeah.
And they may tell you, oh, I'm doing this for your own good. It's absolute bullshit.
Mhm. Or for the safety thing, because that's one of the things a lot of people like to kind of throw around because it makes other people say, well, if it keeps us safe, then why not? We'll go ahead and hand over this control to someone
Yeah.
else.
And that's what we've done with shame.
Hmm.
We've handed over our power to the governments because we're afraid to rule ourselves.
Hmm.
We're afraid of our own agency and our own power. So
Yeah.
that's why shame is effective against us.
Ooh.
But when we become shameless, we take back our power. We become unshameable.
Mhm.
And let me give you an example of that. I
Okay.
was on another podcast recently. There were
Hmm.
these what this woman was telling me about when her aunt was young, and they were like little chubby girls, and they were eating their
Hmm.
ice cream. And this grown adult comes up to them and says, "You shouldn't be eating those ice cream; it'll make you fat." And these girls, you know what they did? They could have
Straight away.
imagine how ashamed they could have been. They could have dropped their ice cream and run away. Do you
Hmm.
know what they did? They laughed in his face. They laughed in his face. You do not have to take shame in. Somebody throws shame at you, just like the Buddha. Thanks. Return to sender. It is not mine. Return
Uh,
to sender. Take back your shame. I'm not taking it in. Taking in the shame is always a choice, but it happens unconsciously. Then we're not conscious of it, so we just take it in,
uh-huh.
and then we go red. We have a shame attack. And
Yeah.
that's someone else's
Okay.
shame they've projected on us. And trauma, intergenerational trauma, it's mostly shame. When you
Yeah.
think about it, it's mostly
Uh-huh.
shame. Shame is the gasoline that keeps that trauma going from
Hmm.
generation to generation. Shame is
Yeah.
the prime
Hmm.
gasoline that keeps that fire burning for generations. So when you take the shame out, you diffuse that thing. There are other things to deal with, like scarcity and also culture and other things. These are
Hmm.
kind of the enforcers of it, as is what I've called them for
Ooh.
shame.
Uh-huh.
But shame is the main driver. It's really at the center of so
Uh-huh.
many things that are wrong in with ourselves in terms of our mental health and what we
Mhm.
feel capable of doing, and also
Uh-huh.
with our society. It's the reason why it's the driver of dysfunction. It's
Mhm.
the driver of dysfunction within family setting,
Mhm.
within in when we internalize it in ourselves and wider society. Shame is the coding system that keeps this narcissistic empire turning. And
Mm.
when we stop the shame, we
Mhm.
nobody can shame us. We become unmanipulatable. Nobody
Yeah.
can manipulate us. We take back our power. We become full agents. We step out
Uh-huh.
of the matrix. And this is
Mm.
why, I mean, my business is called the Trauma Matrix, because I realized
Uh-huh.
that AI is not the problem. It's our trauma. It's
Mhm.
our trauma. The trauma is keeping us in the matrix, keeping
Mhm.
us. And the main coding system of this matrix is shame.
Mhm. Mm. Yeah, and it's funny that you say that because a lot of people actually turn to AI nowadays to be their last minute therapist, But it's actually kind of cool in a sense, but at the same time, I don't think people should be going to AI for therapy, but that does make for a good objective third person view. But with shame, whenever we're being controlled, whenever we're being manipulated in that sense, it's one of those things that whenever you try to call the person out that's doing the shaming, they're of course going to say, I'm not shaming you, right?
Just return to sender. You don't have to teach anyone anything. Thank you. Thank you for your
Fair enough.
projection.
Uh-huh.
Goodbye. Stop trying to teach people. Teach
Uh-huh.
yourself. Take back your power
Uh-huh.
and really embody that.
So one of those things though is that won't this turn, I mean, of course it will, because anyone embodying their own authentic self is going to push people away. But wouldn't this cause such a upheaval for some people that it might as well just be like, hey, you got a new identity now. You got to kind of figure it out, right?
You become who you really are.
Ooh, okay.
You can't
But
be who you really are when you're carrying shame.
So I ask this because I personally have kind of gone through like maybe not an identity crisis per se, but maybe something similar where it's like through this healing journey, it's like, do I really think I know who I am? And that's one of the things is that now I got this huge shame bubble to pop, and I'm like, oh, I can see where this is going to start raining big time. And I'm just curious about like, it's not a big rain or anything per se. I mean, with that being said, some things will get washed away, but other things will actually get the water that they need to grow. But it makes me wonder what parts of myself I haven't been actually acknowledging, because I've been ashamed of them. So it just makes me wonder how much someone can actually change whenever they essentially aren't ashamed of themselves.
Yeah, people will change a lot. They'll
Mm,
become who they really are. They'll find out who they really are because, like I
mhm.
said, you can't even know who you really are if you're carrying shame. You're a
Yeah.
false mask. You're wearing a mask 100% of the time.
Hmm.
How can you know yourself? You can't.
Yeah.
It's
Huh.
impossible. Shame defies who you are. It tells you that you're useless. It tells you to
Hmm.
hide yourself.
Hmm.
So, yeah, it makes you shrink, shrivel up, and die and feel like a
Yeah.
useless. So, of course, you
Mm.
can't know who you are when you're carrying shame. You can't be authentic.
Yeah.
So you're gonna drop all of that and become your
Mhm.
true self, and that's a good thing, not
Mhm.
only for you but for the whole bloody world.
Yeah. Whenever you say that shame fractals out, where does it start first? Because obviously it starts with the person and then whoever they're closest to, right?
Well, the where I started looking at this was in the family system. So
Mhm.
within the family system, you have the kind of narcissistic person or the
Mhm.
leader of the tribe or whatever, and then you have the scapegoat, who's the one who gets all the shame.
Mhm.
And dysfunctional families have that person as well.
Uh-huh.
Then you have enablers, and you have other roles as well, like the golden child. This is the person,
Mm.
and all of these roles are shame based. So even the golden
Huh.
child, which is a good role,
Yeah.
you're not allowed to be who you are. You have to be the good boy. You have to be the one the narcissistic parent tells you to do. You
Mhm.
have to be the good example. You have to be the good boy. So
Mhm.
again, it's a shame-based role. You never get
Mhm.
to be, and all the roles are. So this is where we're really socialized into this from a very young
Mhm.
age, where we take on these roles, these characters, and we never
Mhm.
find out who we really are. And the sad thing is, like with the golden child, they might have a midlife crisis when they're older, but they can
Mhm.
also go on to become narcissists sometimes of their own. Like
Mhm.
this is Donald Trump was the golden child of his family system,
Oh.
for example. It's not
Oh.
an X is equal to Y, but it can happen that the golden child becomes
Yeah.
narcissistic,
Uh-huh.
and just like their parent.
Uh-huh.
So we're entrained to it from childhood because
Mhm.
this is the system that we're in. So in terms of where it starts, that's the wrong question. Where does it end? That's the right question. It ends with us
Ooh.
breaking up from this inner narcissist, and
Ooh.
we break the connection. We become unshameable. people
Uh-huh.
people come up to you and they try to shame you. You'll know exactly what they're doing. You'll
Mhm.
name that as a manipulation, and you will not take it in, and you don't even need to tell them anything. You can just say,
Yeah.
right, that's a projection, that's not mine. Or
Nice.
you might choose to
Ah.
say something to them, but you don't have to. You don't have
Yeah.
anything to prove to them.
Huh.
This whole thing of having to prove, that's what
Yeah.
narcissists do. If
Mhm.
we look at Donald Trump for an example,
Uh-huh.
that's not how a really confident person operates. Someone who
Mm.
really is confident and believes in themselves, somebody criticizes them, makes a joke, they go, okay, I believe in myself, I believe in what I'm doing. They don't get
Mhm.
triggered and go on the attack. That's
Yeah.
what a narcissist does because narcissists are created from repressed shame. That's what
Mm.
their identity is built on shame, but it's
Mm.
repressed, it's pushed down, and when that shame gets triggered, they feel the shame on some level, and
Mhm.
like I said, you experience shame, you go into survival mode, you go on the attack, you try to kill that source of the shame so that you don't have to
Mhm.
feel it. And
Mm.
that's what narcissists do. We do
Yeah.
it in our own way too, but
Uh-huh.
we the cycle breaks with each of us.
Mm, I absolutely love that. And because that means that we can actually do something about it too. And I also thank you for reiterating the whole posture thing with the shame, because through my healing journey, I've noticed that my posture can be corrected, for lack of a better term. And one of the things is that I'm like, why am I always sitting like this, or like just kind of like slumped over, trying to hide or something? And then I'll actually stretch my shoulders, like expand. I feel everything pop, like chest and shoulders and stuff. And it's like I've been doing that for a long time,
Yeah.
and it's something that I didn't realize was actually connected to shame, and it makes me
Yes,
realize that,
it
ooh,
is.
okay,
It is.
huh.
Yeah. Were you the scapegoat of your family system?
I could say I was for parts of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it does it can change around, it can move around, yeah. Those
Mm-hmm.
roles are definitely movable. But
Mm,
yeah, the scapegoat often becomes an addict because you're carrying that shame. And that's a tough thing to do. They also end up in therapy and can become the cycle breakers.
yeah.
So that's the power of it. But
Yeah.
also they can become very self-destructive and, destroy themselves. Or
Yeah.
pass it on to the next generation. That's what most
Mm-hmm.
people do.
Yeah. And I know myself, I don't want anyone to go through what I've gone through in my own head. So fuck that.
Yeah. Fuck
So I just,
shame.
yeah.
Fuck shame.
Fuck
Shame is
shame.
not good. Shame is
Mm-hmm.
bullshit. Shame is a
Mm-hmm.
tool to keep you controlled, to keep you docile, to keep you in
Yep.
line, to keep
Mm-hmm.
you small.
Mm-hmm.
You owe more to yourself than that. So stop
Yeah.
shaming yourself and don't let anyone shame you. Stop it.
Yeah. Oof. And real quick on that note, I just want to say thank you for also bringing up that the church shames a lot of people, because whenever that was all brought into the recovery aspect for myself, I was just glad that I was already dropped another rock. I was just glad that I was already a pagan at that point, because my divine does not tell me I am bad, that I am wrong.
Exactly. That's the narcissist.
Hmm.
So
So,
it's very simple. Is it your
mhm,
higher wisdom or is it the so-called inner critic? And I've
mhm,
heard spiritual leaders, talk about this, give it half an hour answers. It's very fucking simple.
mm,
Is the voice shaming you? If it's
it's
shaming you, that's the
it's not.
narcissist.
Yeah,
No.
it's not divine.
Your divine guidance, your higher self, your whatever you want to call it, that
Uh
will
huh.
never shame you.
Uh huh.
If it's
Yep.
shaming you, it's the narcissist and you need to break
Yep.
up with that thing pronto.
Yep. It's not keeping you safe. Oh
No,
man.
it's not keeping you safe. You don't owe it shit.
Yeah, it's keeping other people comfortable. Oh, I love that. And fuck other people. Not
Yeah,
all of them,
fuck
but
other
some of
people
them.
and their safety. No, no, no. You look after yourself and
Yeah.
you treat yourself with respect,
Mhm.
and that will affect how you treat others because you don't treat
Mhm.
other people worse than you treat yourself or that
Mhm.
narcissistic voice. If you're
Mhm.
abusing yourself and letting that abuse happen, you're gonna
Mhm.
you're gonna pass that on.
Mhm.
It's always starts here.
Ooh. Oh. Thank you for that, because now we know that we can stop the shame and we
Yeah,
can do something about it too.
yeah.
Are you ready to play our little game show for tonight?
Yeah, sure, let's go.
All right. Emma, it's time for our unique segment, Eviction Notice. In this game, I'm going to give you a scenario or a common inner narcissist line that people hear in their heads. Your job
Oh.
is to tell me the single, boldest, truest eviction statement that someone can use in that moment. It's about giving the inner voice a clear, final line that reclaims power. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. You're being selfish if you say no to this request.
Fuck off.
All right. If you charge that much, people will think you're greedy.
No way.
All right. You need to do more research before you share that opinion.
Well, you've got to just have discernment. Is it true? Maybe it's
Mm,
true. Maybe that's
mm,
true. Maybe you
mm,
do need to do a bit of research. But if you know in your heart, then hell no. You express yourself. So you gotta have attunement and alignment and really recognize what's true for you. But
mm,
that's not necessarily shaming to say that. To say that you
yeah.
need to do more research. Perhaps
Uh
you
huh.
do.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Or to
Uh,
make your answer more substantive. I had to do a
yeah.
lot of research. I spent hours and hours researching feeling into shame, talking about shame. And now I feel very confident I could answer any question about it. But, that's hours and hours of time and writing
Mhm.
essays and, thinking about shame,
Mhm.
dreaming about shame, and taking back my power from shame.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's
And
not a
it's a
one
lot of
and
time.
done thing. It's not a one and done thing.
Mhm.
It's a process of
Yeah.
dismantling shame, and it's
Mhm.
not done because, you know, people, we've been shamed in the collectives. Like the Black people have been collectively scapegoated and shamed. Currently, it's the immigrants. They're the
Mhm.
current targets for the collective shame. The golden child,
Mhm.
the white
Yep.
people, they're feeling all this uncomfortable shame from all the terrible things that they've done collectively, and they don't like that feeling, so they find a target for it. Currently, it's the
Mm.
immigrants. That's what's happening.
Ooh. Thank you for shedding light on that. And that also leads us right into our next question. You've been through a lot of healing. You shouldn't still be triggered.
No, I get triggered sometimes, but
Fair enough.
I recognize it. Often I
Mhm.
recognize it in the moment, maybe a little
Mhm.
bit after.
Mhm.
Sometimes a little bit after, you might get a little bit angry. I might not
Mhm.
shout at someone, but I might like get a little bit pissed off. But
Uh-huh.
2 minutes later, I know, oh my god, I was triggered. But maybe the
Mhm.
guy was being a real dick. The guy was probably being a dick as well. You know,
Mhm.
both things can be true.
Mhm.
Someone's being a dick, or you got triggered. You didn't stay neutral. I'm not the
Mhm.
Buddha. You're not the Buddha either.
Yeah.
You're human. Own
Mhm.
it.
Yeah. Very nice. All right. What about that idea is too big, too visible, or too different? Play it safe.
Hell no. Play it
Mm.
large. You got to do the opposite that Shane says, and
Ooh.
really stand up and shine.
Huh. Okay. I love that. So, what about if you stop people pleasing, you'll end up completely alone?
That's bullshit. You'll end up alone with those people because they're extracting from you because you're dancing to
Mm.
their tune. You'll find
Ooh.
people who like you for who you really are rather than who you're pretending to be.
Mm. And that is the better kind of company. I
Oh,
know.
hell yeah. No, you wants to be around people who want that. They're manipulating you. You're allowing yourself to be manipulated.
Mhm. And then it just kind of begs the question, what are you providing for them that they don't want to provide for themselves?
Exactly. So you do them a favor and help them find out.
Yeah. Ooh. All right. How about you're just burned out because you're not disciplined enough?
That's bullshit. You don't
Okay.
get burnt out from lack of discipline. You get burnt out from working really hard and grinding.
Yeah.
So that's a lie. So you probably need to relax more. You need to take a break.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah.
the exact 180 degrees opposite of what it's saying.
Yeah.
You need to take a break, pick up the phone, talk to a friend, do
Hmm.
something, break that spiral. That doesn't
Hmm.
involve picking up a drink, probably. Do something else. Go for a swim. Do something
Uh-huh.
healthy.
So this is a great way to kind of sit there and fight the hustle culture because
Oh,
that's a
hell.
shame.
No to
It's
the
a
hustle
shame on shame.
culture. And capitalism, bloody hell,
Mhm.
man. Late
Yeah.
stage capitalism is a killer. No wonder everyone's taking to drugs and alcohol. Because,
Hmm.
it's super, super toxic. The whole thing is just toxic to the core.
Hmm. Yep. And what about this last one? You don't deserve the success. It was just luck.
Nothing's about luck, it's about alignment.
Mm. Okay. Oh, I love that alignment, and that means you got to actually put work into it too.
Yeah, you gotta tune in and
Mhm.
follow your guidance. And
Mm.
you gotta become unshameable and start knowing who you really are and living from that place. And that's rare.
Mhm.
Hardly anyone's doing that. You could be
Yeah.
the first one that someone gets to know when you reclaim your shameless and take back your power. You could be the first example of that anyone ever gets to meet.
Hmm. That would be really, really cool. Huh.
Yeah.
With that being said, you have just played our eviction notice game, and for your remarkable work in helping people dismantle internalized sabotage and reclaim their power, we bestow upon you the title of Inner Boundary Weaver for Retrieving Sanity. So thank
Oh,
you.
I love that. Thank you very much. I'll take it.
Of course.
And
Of course.
I have a free gift for people that are
Oh,
listening.
okay.
Um, it's called five. It's a free guide. 5 signs that it's time to break up with your inner narcissist.
Mhm.
So if you're like thinking, oh my God, yeah, I have this thing inside me. It's not a critic. It's not my friend. It's like super toxic. And you know what? Here's the secret. Everyone, particularly in the West, you have this. Everybody has it. It's just to what degree are you aware of it, and to what degree it's affecting you. You know, you're aware that it's affecting you, but everyone has it. So everyone's got this thing, but has it become enough of a problem? It's called 5 Signs that it's time to break up with your inner narcissist. And it also has tools and strategies in there about how to make that happen. So this isn't just fluff. This isn't just blah, blah, blah. Most people talking about shame, they tell you how to cope with shame. Brene Brown teaches you how to be resilient against shame rather than kick the fucker out and take back your power. I have a quick link. It's tinyurl.com/notttodaynarc.
Gotcha.
tinyurl.com/notttodaynarc. You can find it there. Or you could just send me a message in the DMs and I'll send it to you. Trauma.matrix on Instagram. There you go. Yeah.
On Retrieving Sanity, we do like to ask one last question, and I didn't have it ready to go because I don't know why.
Okay.
So
that's allowed.
Emma, all right. Well, Emma, the name of this podcast is Retrieving Sanity, and we explore how all facets of living life impact mental health. Looking at the incredible motley adventures of your life, what does retrieving sanity personally mean to you today, and what's one practice or perspective you believe is crucial for anyone on that journey?
I mean, I'm going to be repeating myself. I'm not going to feel like a broken record.
I know.
It's all I talk about. You know, say no to shame and kick that shame voice out. Don't take it. It's a manipulation. Take back your power. You owe it nothing. It's not good for you. It's like drinking poison. You're killing yourself every time you allow that thing to shame you. And it has no place in a real evolved human society. No place whatsoever. Stop shaming yourself. Don't pass it on. Shame is not the way to create change. It's the wrong way. It doesn't work. Stop it. And don't shame yourself for having shamed yourself. Don't do that. I've seen people doing that. They start beating themselves up. Don't do that. That's a trap. Don't shame yourself. Okay, you shamed yourself, or you had that because it wasn't you. It was the narcissist that you internalized. It wasn't you. The narcissist did it, and now you've evicted it. Once you evict it, it's not there anymore. And if it comes back, you know exactly what to do to break that power again.
Ooh, so, man, I just got a lot of personal work to do on myself. This is going to be really interesting, but Emma, I thank you very much for just being on the show today and sharing all of your knowledge of shame with us, because it's going to have a huge ripple effect over here. I know that much. And anyone that listens to this and actually applies it for their own self, I think it's going to have a profound effect on them as well. So I just got to say thank you for doing some amazing work out there, because this is what our society needs to move forward as humanity.
Really, this is it, and it starts with you. You can be the example of that.
Well, Emma, thank you again for being on Retrieving Sanity. And everyone out there, thank you for listening to Retrieving Sanity on WDJY 99.1 FM. This has been Keegan, and this has been Emma, and we will see y'all next time. But you gotta love yourself first. If you're having a hard time with that and you got a mental crisis, call 988 or the Trevor Project if you're in the LGBTQ plus community. And everyone else out there, try to love everyone else if you can. But remember, you gotta love yourself first. With that being said, we will see y'all next week. Much love. Schlangfall.